Hi, I'm Danny with etrailer, and today we're going to take a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Curt fifth wheel rail kit on our 2025 Ram 2500. This in-bed rail kit will allow you to put a fifth wheel hitch in your bed. Now, it doesn't come with the fifth wheel hitch itself, but our neighbor today has an A-series Curt. Now, you can put these in there, and if you don't already have one, it will fit a ton of different fifth wheel hitches. So definitely check our website if you don't already have one. This kit will have your two rails, your front and back, and all the hardware you need to get this installed. Now, we installed this on a short bed Ram today, and we did have some issues getting this installed. There was some hard to get spots just because the nature of the short bed, and the hat channel up front here was a little issue too. We did give some tips and tricks in our video, so I hope that helps if you plan on getting this installed yourself. But if you don't want to get this installed yourself, you don't want the hassle, you don't have the time, you can check out our dealer locator. We can find a professional in your area to get this installed for you. But if you're looking to tackle this, follow along and I'll walk you through the process. First off, I already got the spare tire removed. Now we can get this heat shield removed as well, just to make it a little easier to work under here. I got a 10mm socket and there's 6 fasteners. And there's going to be 2 up behind. It'll be a little harder to get to. And then with all of our hardware removed, we can just set this to the side for now. Now on the driver's side, between the gas tank and the frame, there's a ton of wires and brake lines that we'll have to take off the frame. This is where our bracket's going to sit. So I'm just going to use a trim panel tool and pull each one of these out. Just be careful not to bend them too much. We're going to need these all out of our way. Where we remove those wires, there's a couple of weld nuts and they're just open to the elements, so we want to clean those out. I got some brake clean and I'm going to spray them on my wire brush so I can't spray it up there. And I'll just clean these threads out just so we don't have any problems running our hardware through. There's going to be 2 more closer to the tailgate. I'll clean these out as well. And you want to clean them out on the passenger side as well. Now we can loosely install our brackets that will go closer to the cab of the truck. And one's going to be your driver's side and one's going to be your passenger. The elongated part with the holes, that's going to be facing your cab. Now I'll go ahead and install the driver's side, and then we'll show you on the passenger side. It'll be the same process. It's just a little harder to see on the driver's side. Now I'll put in the passenger side, and the hardware we're going to be putting in is going to be a long and short bolt with a conical tooth washer. Just make sure those teeth are facing the metal. Now that long bolt's going to go closer to the cab, and the short one's going to go closer to the tailgate. And that longer one is long because it's going to get a spacer block. Now it's pretty thick. That's going to go there, and then this will get threaded into those weld nuts. So I'll get this put in place. And I already removed this wiring harness from the frame. They're just, again, those same style of fasteners. And I'll get this U portion up on the hat channel. Slide that all the way up. And now I'll get our hardware installed. Get that spacer block put between the frame and the bracket, and get our longer bolt threaded in. And now I want this bracket to be pushed all the way up to the bed and back towards the tailgate. We want these to be even, so we want this to be pressing right up against the hat channel on both sides. Now I'll just tighten one of these bolts all the way down, because we will be punching and drilling our holes through the bottom here. I'll grab a 19mm socket and just snug this one up for now. Now we need to center punch our holes up into our bed. On the driver's side, it was a little bit difficult to get to. I have a right angle drill with an 1/8 inch bit to make a pilot hole, but I had to get a longer bit with a 1/4 inch on there. I would highly recommend getting a longer bit. They do make them a little smaller if you're worried about making too big of a hole. But now I'll get the passenger side center punched. I got a center punch, and this will help me stay in the center. I'm just going to line this up right in the center. Punch it a couple times. do this on both sides. Now I'll take a 1/8 inch drill bit and get this drilled out. Now we'll go up top in the bed, put our front rail on, and check fitment. I got one of our rails, and I'm gonna line this up with the holes we just drilled, and we're gonna line them up with that square hole, second from the last one. So line them up on both sides. Now once I determine that it's looking good, I can get this out of the way, and we'll open these up to 9/16. First, I am going to use a step bit and just get it a little bigger. Now I'll get my 9/16 drill bit and get these opened up. I'm going to vacuum up all these shavings. And that bare metal, we want to cover that with something, either spray paint or I have a black paint marker. I am going to file them down a little bit too, but you just want to cover those up so they don't rust in the future. And we can put our carriage bolt and U-spacers in. Now, it's going to depend on the corrugation of your truck bed on whether you put this on the top or bottom of the truck bed itself. So we're in the valley, so we'll go ahead and get our spacer put in first, and then our carriage bolt. But if we were on top of one of these corrugations, we'd just have to put the spacer underneath. Now with all 4 of our carriage bolts in place, we can mark our center hole. This is going to be the one closest to the cab in the center. Just got a white paint marker. I'm just going to put this right in the center. And I didn't put the rest of our U-spacers in yet, just because I am going to take this out to drill this. But same process, I'll start with an 1/8 inch and then work my way up to 9/16. Now we'll put this back in place. I'll just get all of our U-shaped spacers and put them down first. This will make it a little easier. Now we can put our nuts and washers on. Now these washers are rectangles and they got squares in the middle. One's going to be offset, and that's going to be for the side that's closest to the hat channel. So one's going to be in the center. So I'll use that one on the bolt that's closest to the cab. So I'll just get that put up and get one of our nuts threaded on. Now, there's not a ton of threads right now, so it might be a good idea to have a friend maybe be up top pushing down on the bolt, or you can put something heavy on there. Now the middle one attaches the same way. We just got the spacer block over our hat channel and tightened our nut down. Now we can tighten up the bolts going through the bed. First, I'm going to loosen the one going into the frame, just so this plate can get pushed up to the bed as much as possible. Now I got a 19mm socket on a impact, and I'm just going to snug these up for now. You don't need to bear down on them. Now we can put our 5th wheel in place. We're just going to swap our neighbor's 5th wheel out of his old truck into his new one. So we'll just pick this up and get it moved over. These are really heavy, so I got Joe over here helping me. We're going to spin this around. Now that we got it in place, we can get our rear rail and get this dropped in as well. So these are the slots I'm going to be going in. So I'll lift this up, slide this in, get this to drop down. And once we've done that, we want to make sure it's parallel to the other bar and centered in the bed. So I'll just grab a tape measure and I'll measure from the wheel well to the end. And you might have a different measurement, but we got about 4 inches. So I'll look on this other side and it's actually good right there. Now I'll measure, make sure that it is parallel. So what I'm going to do is just measure on these grooves, just one side to one side, make sure they're even on both sides here. So we just got right under 22. And I will have to scoot this back just a bit. And once you got these looking good, we can go back through and mark where we're going to drill. I got our paint marker, and I'm just going to locate where we're going to put our bolts. And on the driver's side, we're going to go 4 over on each side. It's going to be the last one. So I'll just mark right in the center. And it has been raining, so it's a little bit wet. It'll be a little hard to see, but might get a center punch as well. And then the center one here, it's going to be right on the center. It's one closest to the tailgate. I'll get that one marked. Now over on the passenger side, this one is going to be a little bit different. The cab is over there, and on the cab side, we're going to do the second hole. So I'll mark this one. And on the tailgate side here, it's going to be the last hole going in, so the 4th one. I'll get that marked as well. I went through and drilled all these holes out to 9/16. Now, something that might be a little easier is to leave this in place when you're drilling that pilot hole, that just 1/8 inch small hole. You really just want to move it for that bigger drill bit just so you don't mess up the paint inside the square hole. But with all those drilled out, I'm going to put this back in place. But first I'm going to get our spacer blocks, just make it a little easier. So I'll get one each where there's going to be a divot. On the driver's side, the hole closest to the cab, you want to take your 9/16 drill bit and go all the way down, because this is going to be inside the hat channel, so you want to drill all the way through that as well. Now we can start putting our hardware in. So for the hole that I told you to drill all the way down through, that's closest to the cab, that's going to take your larger carriage bolt. Now we're going to have to go up and enlarge the hat channel underneath. So for now, I'm just going to leave this out. But for the front hole, or rear hole, I'm going to get the regular carriage bolt there, as well as in the middle. I'm going to get the regular carriage bolt through the rear hole as well. Now, the hole in the back, or closest to the cab, that one's going to get just a regular bolt with a conical tooth washer, and we'll just drop that into the hat channel actually. Now we'll enlarge our hole that we drilled through our hat channel. I'm going to get this wiring harness out of our way, just a little bit, so we don't nick that. And we want to open this up to 7/8, or just enough where this cylindrical spacer block will fit in. So I'm going to use a step bit and get this opened up so we can slide that in. Now with our hole enlarged, we can fit our spacer cylinder in place, and we'll drop that larger carriage bolt through and get our hardware attached. Now we can put our bracket in place. Now the driver's side is going to be a little different. It's going to have this step down, and that's going to sit on the hat channel. So I'll get this put in place. First I'll put our spacer cylinder in there. Get this lifted up. Now I'll get one of our rectangular washers and our nut attached. I'll do this with the top bolt as well. Now we can take our bolts with our conical tooth washer and get those threaded into the frame. I'm just going to keep everything loose for now. And this is what the passenger side bracket's going to look like. There's just going to be one hole. I'll attach this the same way. And I'll get our bolts and put those through the frame the same way. Now for the middle one, it's going to get the spacer block and a nut. May have to hold it from spinning. Now our other bolt is actually inside of the hat channel right here, so we'll have to go around to the wheel well and attach our nut over there. Over here at our passenger side wheel well, it's going to be two fasteners securing this plastic liner. I'm just going to take these out. I'm using an 8mm socket to get these out. So I can now lift this up, and our hat channel is going to be right here. I'll grab our handle nut and get that threaded onto our bolt. Now we did run into some issues with that bolt going down into the hat channel. It's a little bit too far to the rear, so it's hitting that sidewall. Now something to maybe mitigate that problem is just to move these two brackets back maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. But you need to make sure that these are both the same. So if you do have a gap here, you need to have a gap on the other one. Because the reason you put them all the way to the back is so that they are parallel with your hat channel. But that might be on this model of truck, so it's just something to keep in mind. Now if you do run into this same issue, all we did is at the top, we kind of widened that hole just a little bit so we can have a little more clearance for our nut. But now I'll put this into the frame, I'll put our bolt through the top, and this part really is helpful with the second person to have them up there and spinning the bolt just so you can get this threaded on. Now with everything hand tight, we can go back through and tighten and torque everything down. Now there's an order to it. We're going to do all the vertical hardware first, and then all the hardware going into our frame. And I'll go back through and tighten the side brackets as well. Now I'll torque these down to the specs and the instructions in that same order. Now if you don't have a torque wrench at home, you can usually rent one from your local auto parts store. Now when torquing all the hardware that goes down into the bed, don't forget about this one on top here. Get this one torqued down and then head back under to torque the rest. Once you've got everything torqued down, don't forget to put those wires back if you've taken them off. If you can't get some of those back, just zip tie them up out of the way. Then you can put your spare tire back and your heat shield, and that just about does it for the look at the Curt fifth wheel rail system on our 2025 Ram 2500.